Hi, I'm Tori Ponder-Brown, and I am coming to you today to hopefully intensify some of your Pilates experience in the group classes at Veladon. I am currently observing students from our teacher training program, and that requires me to sit on the outside of the class and look at the broad picture rather than be in the class teaching. And I see so many things that I would like to cue that take more time than we have in a class situation. So we're going to start this series of videos with round back on the short box. So first, let me show you some things that I see that you will want to be aware of and you will want to avoid. So the first thing is that we want to start with a neutral pelvis. We want to start with a neutral spine, and that means the ribs should be over the top of the pelvis. There's a tendency to sit in front of the sits bones this way, or to sit rolled back behind the sits bones this way. So when you hear the cue neutral in an upright position, that means that your sits bones are right underneath you and your rib cage is centered over your pelvis. And then the arms are forward. Sometimes you'll just have them rounded. Sometimes you'll have them clasped, depending on the teacher that's teaching the class. In any case, you want to ensure that your scapula are in a neutral and stable position. So that means rather than shoulder blades reaching forward, you want the collarbones to remain wide. So the arms are forward, the shoulders are flexed, but the scapula, the shoulder girdle, is neutral. The other thing that happens with this exercise as people roll back is that the head drops and the shoulders lift this way. So you want to, in any case where you are flexing the spine, you want to make your cervical spine or your neck continue the curve of your upper back. So what that means is initially your head is going to stay right over your shoulders, so there's no change in the cervical spine. It's initiated from the lower spine. It's an articulation, beginning with the sacrum pulling back and then the lumbar spine pulling back. And notice not much has happened to my neck here. There's a little flexion now because the curve has worked its way up past my shoulders. However, my chin is not to my chest, nor is it looking up at the ceiling. It's pulled back, shoulders are relaxed, and the gaze is straight ahead. So it's a fluid curve in the spine that begins with an articulation from the bottom to the top. The other thing that happens with this exercise is a hinge rather than a roll. So as you roll back in this, again, the head lifts up to the sky, the neck stays neutral, so it's rolling just the pelvis and just the lumbar spine. The upper back comes along for the ride. So what I see is this, a little curve in the lumbar spine and the pelvis, and then I see this, which is a hinge. Not a bad exercise, but a different exercise. So this is getting a lot of hip flexors. I'm definitely working my abdominals, but I'm not increasing the flexibility of my spine. And for those of you who have worked with me before, you have heard that the goal of flexion or forward bending in Pilates is not necessarily to strengthen your abdominals. It is to increase the flexibility of your spine. Joseph Pilates said that you are only as old as your spine. So on that note, if I roll back and extend my hips, I'm strengthening my abdominals, maybe, but I am not increasing the flexibility of my spine. So the difference is, I don't know if you can see, my spine is not real flexible, but I get to a point here where my brain thinks, all right, I'm done with this flexion. It's working, but it's a comfortable work. And so my hip flexors take in because grab on because my hip flexors are strong. Rather than lean back, keep pulling the pelvis back. So it should be quite an intense exercise, even if you don't go far back, maybe more intense if you don't go far back. And then on the way forward, I oftentimes see, oh, look, my head is forward. No good. My ears should be back over my shoulders. So now coming forward, what I often see is flexors pulling the body forward. Haven't done anything to my spine. It is, in that case, more of a release, but I want to get as much out of this exercise as I possibly can, right? A Pilates class is only 45, 50 minutes typically. And so I want to get everything, every last bit of effort out of every exercise that I can. So why not get something more than a release here? So as I come forward, rather than hinging at my hips, I'm going to keep pulling my pelvis back and then reach the crown of my head forward. So I'm trying to, again, not just strengthen my abdominals, but increase flexibility in my spine. My hip flexors kick in when they have to. Ultimately, my abdominals are taking me into that forward-reaching position. Now look at the difference between this and this. So this is relaxed and it's a release versus abdominals lifting me and reaching my head past my toes rather than down to my knees. So my curve in my cervical spine is continuing the curve of my upper back or my thoracic spine. And then take a look at my hips. So my pelvis is vertical, it's neutral. I'm getting a lot of glutes and hamstrings in this position. As I reach my head forward, my abdominals are contracting to create that curve in my spine, and my glutes and hamstrings are working to keep me from collapsing over my legs. The other thing, last thing, such a simple exercise, right? So much going on. So the other thing that I see happen is people come forward and their legs straighten, and it's a great stretch, but we want to soften the knees so we can focus more on the abdominal effort. Again, such a simple exercise when you watch it, but if you break it down into all of those pieces and really focus on creating effort in every movement, you're going to get a crazy workout with such an easy exercise. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next exercise.